And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Sports Analyst Podcast. I'm here with Jessica. Jessica, you're dressed in the royal blue today. Got it's the Will
It's
Ferrell
the Will
sweatshirt.
Ferrell shirt again. Yep.
Instant good vibes. Instant
Yeah.
good vibes.
Yeah, it's the comfort sweatshirt for sure.
Good, 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 good. Because we have a lot to talk about today, and we're just going to jump straight into it. Jessica, you just said we're recording this like just right after you send out the pick'em. I just want to remind everybody what this is, how to do it. So give me the quick breakdown here, Jess.
Yeah, because I don't think that's super clear right now, because it is new. And I have this whole system in my head, and I kind of just start throwing out there. So essentially, the real fun of it is going to be during the season. Because these conversations that we've had previously, where we'd be like, hey, it's game day. I think there's going to be two jet sweeps to the short side. I think there's going to be more than that. All of this conversation, and we'd kind of make our picks, and then we'd be watching for them during the game, and when one would happen,
Yeah.
right, we call it out. But then after that, it kind of like goes away. So I've come up with a way to track them this year, and and if you predict something correctly, we'll come up as a group, right, on what it is, and on what the bet will be, and then if you predict it correctly, you'll get a certain amount of points. And week after week, your points will stack. And I'll send out like, hey, this person won this week. What is the total leaderboard, right? So it's a little bit like fantasy football, but with prop bets, and it'll be super simple. I'm just sending out Google surveys. So, and it's super flexible too. If we want to do different things, we totally can. Um, but everything you want to bet on, we will be able to bet on with the system I came up with today. So I'm really excited. It's going to be fun.
Jessica, this is absolutely incredible. This is groundbreaking. This is like it's like 10 times better than fantasy football. And the fact that it's like cumulative as it goes along, like, oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah,
This
it
is
should be
literally
fun.
so amazing.
This should be really fun. I sent out the preseason one, and I'm guessing most everybody, because since I only sent it out 10 minutes ago, has not filled it out. But go fill it out if you haven't already. It's great.
I was actually filling it out right now, and so far I've hit under on the first four topics. So I'm gonna just stop for a second, let us get through this exercise, and then I'll readdress and hopefully not be as pessimistic as I was.
Great, great. Yeah, maybe some of those lines are a little bit ambitious, but easy money if that's the case.
Right?
I
Yeah, it
think that
should be easy money
LJ.
then.
It sounds like you don't think LJ is going for over 1,000 yards. I think he
No,
is. I don't think Chase is going
really
for over 1,000, but I do think LJ is going for over 1,000 if he stays healthy.
interesting, interesting. See, I'm the opposite. I think LJ is not going for 1,000. It's mostly because of the health factor.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to stay healthy enough. But I mean, if he does stay healthy all 12 games, like I think it's probably a given that he's going to be a 1,000 yard rusher because he's a clear number one in our running back stable.
Yeah.
But I just think Chase Roberts is the clear number one target. I don't know if our wide receiver core is deep enough yet, or Bear has that much chemistry with the other guys. So I think Chase is going to get a ton of targets early. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Ah,
It'll
how
be
about
interesting
both
to
of
see.
them? Let's go both of them.
Yes,
Great. Yeah, but
over
that's
on
the
both.
pick'em. Should be fun.
Absolutely love it. We always start off with a hot take of the week, and this is going to be my hot take. Okay.
I can't wait to
Uh,
hear this. It's an
yeah.
NFL hot take.
In the rundown, it just says Tom Brady.
Yep.
Um, Tom Brady is not the GOAT. We
Ooh!
Yes, sports analysts. We were having this debate over the GOAT athletes, and they were all in one picture, and it had like Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, like Messi, Serena Williams, Babe Ruth, Muhammad Ali. I can't remember all the other guys. I don't think Tom Brady is the GOAT of football. In fact, I don't think that you can have a GOAT of football because there's no way to define it. And obviously, like this is kind of esoteric, and you could probably apply this to all like team sports. But like who is to say that it was because of Tom Brady that they won so many games and it wasn't Bill Belichick or the team that he had around him or because like let's all be honest, like Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Tom Brady. Like if they were in a skills challenge, like Patrick Mahomes is going to wipe the floor with Tom Brady. But Tom Brady happened to be on a really good team for a lot of years that won a lot of championships. Who's to say that if you put Patrick Mahomes in that spot, like he wouldn't have done the exact same thing, if not more? So In my mind, you cannot call Tom Brady the GOAT, and you can't in football, especially, you can't have a player be the GOAT because it's especially at the quarterback position. It's so reliant on your offensive line, your running game, and your wide receivers, and your defense, let's be honest, and the play caller. Like, especially at quarterback, you can't call somebody the GOAT because it's indeterminable. And maybe that's what makes it such a good social question, is because you can argue it, whatever. But yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, because it all depends on what your definition of the greatest is, right?
Exactly.
By Super Bowl win like rings as a quarterback, yeah, he's the greatest if that's how you measure it.
Exactly.
But I agree with you on the point where in of all sports to choose a GOAT, football is probably I can't think of a more team-centered sport where if this guy
Right?
doesn't do his job, then the whole play fails. Like,
Exactly.
so I would think that especially in Tom Brady's case, I think that's a valid take because it's football. If it was like basketball, because like LeBron and MJ, we're not going to get into this, but it's
No.
basketball. There's such thing as one-on-one basketball, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
you could
Who
play
would beat
that
who?
game. Yeah, but like you said, put Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady on a skills competition, 1v1, it doesn't exist,
No,
because
it
so
doesn't
much of their
matter.
success hinges on other players. So that is a spicy take because he is known as the GOAT because of all of his accolades, right?
Mhm.
But valid nonetheless, I think.
Yeah. That's just my take. I had to get it off my chest. Thanks for hearing me out, everybody. Tom Brady, not my GOAT. Hashtag not my GOAT. Um, but we do have a GOAT for BYU football. Now, actually, I don't. It will be seen if he is actually going to be the GOAT, if he is going to be our savior this year. Bear Bachmeier, technically the starting quarterback. What say ye, Jesse? What say ye, Jessa?
Um, I have lots of thoughts about it, and I think most people do. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, Aaron Roderick came out and didn't say that he's the starter, but basically said he's getting most of the reps with the ones, which basically
Mhm.
means they are moving
Yeah,
forward
it's
as if he was the starter. Now, McKay, the door's still open, right, for McKay to make a jump and like come back and kind of like Jake did last year, because there was a point where Gary last year, Gary Jerry, whatever, was in ahead. Anyways, so my thoughts on Bear potentially starting. Number one, I think it levels the expectations for the season because he's a true freshman.
yeah.
And I think
Yep.
that makes watching the games a much more enjoyable experience.
One
Because
thousand percent.
I have like this underdog mentality of like, we have a true freshman quarterback. I just hope he makes some freaking awesome plays. Like, I just hope
Yes.
he goes out there and has fun and plays backyard football. So that's what my expectations will be like. And because he's so likable off the field, I honestly can't complain. Like, that's the positive side of it. And then the negative side of it for me was, is our quarterback room so weak that we can't beat out a true freshman? Or is Bear really like just the quarterback who got had offers from all of the blue bloods in college football? So those are the two sides of the
Right.
coin to me. How are you feeling? What are the thoughts for you about
No,
this announcement?
honestly, I'm exactly aligned with you. My biggest thought is like just a huge sigh of relief because with McKay and Trayson, like it just felt like they were right here and their floor was down here and their ceiling was right here. And if we get what they're good at, then that's as good as it's going to get. But with Bear, there's like this unknown of like maybe he could be like amazing, right? And so, like you said, watching the games is going to be a much more enjoyable product now that we have kind of this wild card in the mix,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
think
really
wild
excited for that.
card is a really good way to put it because like Jackson, speaking of sports analysts group chat, sent his high school highlights, right? And most
Yes.
of those high school highlights are from his sophomore or junior year, right? So
Mm.
we really haven't seen Bear play football in 2 years. So these coaches are raving about him, and we're like, yeah, I guess we could see that based on his highlights. But until I see otherwise, I'm gonna assume that he's gotten a lot better. And that's why they're so excited about him. So I'm like, yeah, the highlights are cool, but he's hopefully his ceiling, like you said. is going to be really high. But we also have to be prepared to accept his floor as well.
Exactly. And I think that's why it's better to go with the true freshman because then when we inevitably do lose a lot of games, we can just be like, well, we are starting a true freshman, okay? Like you take the lumps, right? And let's just hang on to those sick highlight reels that he has in a 30-point loss to freaking Colorado or whatever.
Yep.
Hopefully not. We do have a fun little question for the group. Who will be more successful this year? Bear Bachmeyer or Bryce Underwood? Jessa, you came up with this one. I want to hear your thoughts on this and how would you define success? Because I think it's actually a very fair question.
Yeah. That's a good question on how you define success. I've thought about what I would define success for Bear, but it's very different. Obviously, Michigan and BYU are very different programs, right?
Yes. Yes, Bryce Underwood
Um,
being the freshman quarterback for Michigan, for those who
yes.
don't know.
Yeah, and supposedly is like the savior.
He's
Very
the Devin
like
Dampier of the Big Ten.
yeah, basically. Totally unproven. Here's I think the biggest difference between Bear and Bryce and what they're going up against. BYU is not going to see a Penn State defense and they will not see an Ohio State defense like all year, right?
100%.
But you've got a bunch of like the Big Ten's very top heavy as far as defenses go.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think that Bears welcome to D1 moment, P5 moment is going to be less dramatic than Bryce Underwood's is. Um, and I think that the roster around BYU, this is a hot take, the roster around BYU relative to the teams that they play and the talent they play
Mm,
stacks up better than Michigan and Bryce Underwood. I just
that's a
doubt
very interesting
Yeah,
point.
I doubt Michigan's like receivers. Their run game is fine. You know they're going to be good in the trenches, um, but they're coming off of a losing record, right? BYU's coming off of 11-2, so I feel like Bear again. You have to look at Michigan's competing up here against defenses up here, and Big 12 is just not that consistent. Consistent. Um, so hopefully that makes sense. That's what I would say
No,
is the difference between the two.
no, and it makes perfect sense. And I think it creates that level playing field of, hey, Bryce Underwood like has this Michigan like aura and team and culture and tradition, whatever, but they're also competing at a higher level. And then there's BYU who probably has a better team around them, like you said, relative to the competition. So this is going to be something we're going to track throughout the year. We are going to be comparing these two, and inevitably, Bear Bachmeyer is going to be better than Bryce Underwood.
Yeah,
We
that's
will we we will state it here now, and we will raise that flag every week of the regular season.
Yeah, that's the whole point of bringing it up. Is like I think I think he's going to be better because stat
Of
and how
course.
you define success. I think his production is going to be higher than Bryce
Yeah,
Underwood. Also, BYU throws the ball way more than Michigan does.
very
So,
true. Very true. Well, Jessa, don't you remember J.J. McCarthy? He should have won the Heisman that year. He,
yep,
attempted 8.5 passes a game and completed six of them. That's really good
that's
completions
really
percentage.
good. That's really good.
Shocker, he's struggling in the preseason. Anyway, let's move along. Real quick here, Jessa. It is time for another edition of Fraud or Squad. Last time we did Penn State, we decided that they were frauds. We hefted just toss the F word right out there. It is now time to play it again with Clemson, a team that I commonly refer to as Clemsuck. But let's find out.
Yep. And no comment there. I'm going to keep my reaction neutral to not tell you whether or not you're going to like this
Can't give it away.
research.
Can't give it away.
Okay, we're gonna go a little bit rapid fire here, guys. Here's the deal. Clemson, squad or fraud. Okay? Dabo Sweeney hates the transfer portal. Will not use the transfer portal. He only goes after the high schoolers. Okay, so the first question in deciding are they a squad or a fraud is why did they lose? Last year they went
Okay.
9-4. Okay, they had a 9-2 regular season or 10-2 regular season, 9-3.
I think it was.
What was it?
I think I'll bring it up. Keep going.
Okay, cool. Anyways, I know they lost 4 games. I can't remember if it was 10-4 or 9-4. Anyways,
It was 10-4. It was ten and
perfect.
4.
10-4. Okay. And for Clemsuck, right? That's kind of a down year. They're supposed to be this powerhouse in the ACC, right?
Yep,
And so looking at last year, you would categorize them as a fraud, I think, because
absolutely.
obviously, based on their preseason expectations, like they are every year, down year, right? So, why did they lose? We heard about this all year. I'm just gonna get it out of the way. This is not why they lost, okay? The defense, yes, was missing key pieces due to injury, but defense was almost, except for one game, the Louisville game, um, defense was not like the main contributor to them losing. It had an impact, sure, but at the end of the day, we are going to talk about the fact that offense couldn't convert when it really mattered.
1,000%.
They could not when you needed to get to when you needed to move the sticks, when you needed a score. They did not have the special teams. They didn't have the scheme to convert when it mattered. Okay,
I mean,
so
case in point, last game of the season against South Carolina, they're down 3, driving at the end of the field, pick in the red zone.
yes, that's exactly right. That's just one of many. Like I'll go over their scoring statistics, like scoring rate per possession. It's kind of crazy. Okay, few stats for you. Against top 25 scoring defenses, this is ranked top 25 in scoring defense. They were 0 and 3. Against 30 or lower, they were 9 and 1. Okay? So,
Sounds a lot like Penn State.
yeah, exactly right. I mean, this is just the difference. They're a good team, right? But
Yeah,
the media treats them like they're an elite team. And elite teams win at least one of those games.
at
Sorry.
least one of
Yeah.
those games.
Um, so their scoring rate in wins, meaning when they get the ball, do they get points on the board, right? In
Mhm.
wins, they're about 50%. So
Okay,
one of every two times they get the ball, they scored. That's pretty good.
that's pretty good, I feel like.
Yeah, they were a really good scoring offense in their wins. In their losses, that dropped to 21.01. So when defenses were good, they did not have the offense to match up. That's ultimately what it came down to, right? Um, so you look at, oh, well, they probably should score more in those games, right? Because those were pretty low scoring games. Like their defense did okay in some of those
Mhm.
games. Again, Louisville was an outlier, so I don't want to get into the weeds on that. But this is what I need to see from them. Their special teams, their freshman kicker missed 6 kicks. And had one blocked for a return, I think, against Virginia Tech.
That's
So
like
special
Jake Oldroyd
teams,
versus Baylor numbers.
yeah, seriously, like special teams needs some work here, guys. You're giving up points at this point. That shouldn't be the case. You should be in the green numbers for
You should be
special teams.
positive.
Yes, right? So, he was a freshman last year, so maybe we see some growth this year. I don't know. That's an unknown. Offensive execution, okay? Garrett Riley is their offensive coordinator, and he is the brother of another well-known Riley, Lincoln Riley, who coaches at USC. This offensive mastermind. I don't even want to go into the amount of hype that Garrett Riley gets from Joel Klatt because his last name is Riley. Like, oh my gosh. And he had a very underwhelming season last year, right? So he needs to make a big leap in his second year as OC. Um, and their leading rusher from last year leaves. And their next up are
Oh,
freshmen and sophomores.
that guy was a
So,
beast too. Maffa.
yeah, yes. So there's some depth concerns, or maybe it's just some unknowns on the offensive side. Ultimately, what I'm gathering is Clemson is betting on their depth. They didn't bring in a ton of new pieces. Obviously, they
Of
don't, because
course.
Dabo just hates the transfer portal. Um, and so they are betting on continuity. The good news for them is, guess what? Their
Plan
schedule
B.
is so cupcake. They don't have to be better than they were last year to go 11 and 1. They do not play a top 50 scoring defense from last year outside of South Carolina.
Oh my gosh.
LSU is their hardest game on this schedule. LSU and I would say Louisville, depending on where they go. So I would say their floor, if they are bad, would be 8 and 4. But based on the numbers I just showed you, if they are the same level, based purely on the numbers, if they are the same team that they were last year, they're going 11-1 and probably making the playoff and playing in the ACC championship game. So I'm so sorry. I really hope that they're on upset watch every single week, and I will be watching for upset watch because I hope 8-4 comes to fruition. But it looks like they're going to be good this year based on this cupcake of a schedule.
I mean, I can't really argue with the schedule piece. That's, I mean, what games there scare you? Like LSU, obviously, very big game. That's great. Troy, as much as I love Georgia Tech, it's Georgia Tech still. Syracuse, North Carolina, Boston College, SMU, Duke, Florida State, Louisville, Furman. Like, I'm 100% with you. Like, 10-2 would honestly kind of be disappointing with this schedule,
Yeah.
right? That means you lost your two most important games, the rivalry game and or maybe you drop some other ACC like that. No, that's unacceptable for Clemson. And unless their defense all of a sudden just falls apart, which I don't think is going to happen, like you said, they're only going to get healthier this year. So yeah,
Yeah,
I will be hate watching. I'll be hate watching.
same here. Same here, for sure. I hate watch all of the overhyped media people. Um, yeah, I think the schedule is kind of funny. Just because, and here's what I was gonna say. There's just so much unknowns. There's not a proven commodity on this list, you know?
100%.
So
Yeah.
where we sit right now, you should be favored in every single one of these games.
Oh, 100%. I mean, let's be honest. LSU lost to USC in the season opener last year. Like,
Right.
Clemson could dog walk them for all we know. Like, yeah, absolutely, absolutely brutal for us Clemsuck haters. But we have our first squad of
Yep.
the year, and that's important.
Yep. You got to keep it honest. When the numbers tell me fraud, the numbers tell me fraud. When the numbers tell me squad, the numbers tell me squad. It's all subjective, but here we are.
Well, I appreciate that, Jessica, because I could never ever type squad next to Clemson. I just my body will not let me do that. So I appreciate that we have you here to actually give us the facts. That's
Of
very
course.
important.
I'll take one for the team.
All right, that was a great discussion. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. We are now going to welcome on our guest for the podcast. One Dr. Kevin D. Call will be joining us after this.
All right. I just want to say,
Horns
and
down from all of
and
us.
and ask the question, right? How is it that one of the most powerful and renowned sports programs in the history of college football is so brittle about their little hand signal, right? I don't know of any other program in the history of sports that like has laws against arresting people for a hand signal, like reversing a hand signal, right? And in a college rivalry and kind of a yeah. Anyway, rant over.
It's because
Thoughts
they
from the
see it
group.
as a religion, I think. You know?
That's true.
Which is so
Yeah.
not the experience that we had when we went to Texas. Was that your experience? Like, I met so many casual Texas fans. They were like, I didn't have anything to do. So I came to the Texas game. Stadium's so big, they let me in, you know?
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know what's going on over there.
They're like I just swung by the Canes and they were giving out tickets for free, and so I came.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
Honestly,
I,
all of this just screams SEC to me. So, like, let's be glad that they're out of the Big 12, take their, like, stuck up uppityness and took it to the place where it belongs with Paul Feinbaum and everybody else.
that's right. That's
Anywho,
right.
it's about time we officially welcome on our guest, Kevin Call, MD, as you can see from his little Zoom tag there.
I would
um,
change that if I could.
Kevin, we're just going to jump right into it. We were just talking about it. Bear Bachmeier unofficially announced as the starting quarterback for BYU. What are your initial thoughts?
So I've been thinking about this. Um, and I think Eli mentioned this on one of the previous episodes, is that historically at BYU, um, starting a freshman is fraught, right? We don't have like and hey, maybe Bear's gonna break the mold, right? Maybe he'll be the first true freshman to come in and really blow everybody's socks off. Um, and we'll win 10 games. My only hesitation is if he struggles, right, how do you move the team forward without breaking your true freshman quarterback for the rest of the year, right? Um, which is why I was like, hey, for Portland State, run McKay Hillstead out there, right? You know, and let him do his Hobbit thing, and then be like, oh, you know what? We tried that, that didn't work, and then we'll bring it. I don't know. You, I kind of feel like that's what they did with Wilson, right? With Zach. They waited until like the eighth game, and by then we'd already lost a bunch of easy games that we could have won. And perhaps had they started him at the beginning of the year, we would have been bowl eligible that year, right? We would have won that one last. We would have won the mass. Was it the UMass game that I'm thinking of?
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
UMass at home.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe we would have won that game and been bowl eligible, and not lose to the worst team in the history of college football at home with the bowl game on the line. I
Do
don't
you
know.
think
I
that
have
maybe that
hesitations.
do you think that maybe that has informed like their decision that they're making? Like, do you think maybe they look at that and be like, we're not making that mistake again. We are going all in from the beginning.
I think so. I think so. And then somebody mentioned on one of the podcasts earlier, like a floor, right? Like we want a floor that's not going to actively lose us games. And I think that goes into their thought process too. Is like, hey, his floor is no lower than Burgett and McKay Hillstead, and as long
Yeah.
as he doesn't have this like wild variations in, he'll play really great and then he'll throw 9 interceptions, um, kind of stuff. Maybe not that big of a deal. Although, speaking of lots of interceptions on your first game, one of the masters in BYU football lore, right? I think he threw 6 interceptions,
Was
right,
it
in his
Ty?
first start. Ty Detmer
Mm.
Wow.
against
Six
Wyoming. He was like five
6?
interceptions or I can't remember. We'll have to go look it up, but he threw like,
Yeah.
more than you want to see, right? I think he threw five or
Anything
six
over
interceptions.
3, it raises the
Right.
eyebrows.
Yeah, yeah. And I might be conflating that when he started a game for the Cleveland Browns, but I think he threw 7 interceptions in that game,
And one of the best to ever do it.
Right.
One of the
right?
best to ever sling the rock at BYU.
The
So TBD
Heisman
could be
winner
true.
from BYU.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is
But I
another thing
don't
else. Go ahead,
go ahead.
Kev.
I don't think he was a true freshman because he did play in the bowl game the year before and beat, of course, Colorado. But I think it was his sophomore year that he started that game. I can't remember now.
Mm.
Anyway.
You bring up precedents, like, right? Like when BYU has put in true freshman quarterbacks, there's not a great track record as far as like the
Hmm.
first time they play, right? One thing that's interesting that A-Rod said was, and I'm paraphrasing here, but this was the gist, that Bear fits his offense better than any quarterback he's ever coached.
Oh,
So whether that is,
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know how much we trust that, right? Well, like, I'll
right?
believe it when I see it. But it's like, okay,
Yeah,
if A-Rod thinks he's better, then I wonder
right?
if maybe that leans toward him breaking the pattern.
Yeah,
But I'll
right?
believe it when I see it,
And
for sure.
does that, um, was that a dangerous statement to make by A-Rod,
Yes. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, if he's the best suited you've ever had for your offense, and even he doesn't come out successful,
Right.
right? Then you're
True.
like, you've set yourself up.
True. Yep.
Yeah, that's
So,
he's kind of put himself on the hot seat
uh,
almost.
right? Now he has to succeed.
Yeah.
So, but I think of what do we need him to do, right? I'm going to go Moneyball, right? We don't need him to be spectacular, right? We need him to make what, 7 plays a year? I mean, if you look at like the plays, maybe there's more than that, like the plays where you're like, holy cow, Jake made an amazing throw, or he saw that guy and made just a brilliant play. Were there more than 10 last year?
I was just about to say, I
Right?
can, off the top of my head, I can only remember like three or four of Jake Retzloff plays where I was like,
Right?
man, that was awesome.
Uh-huh. There's one against that I remember against Arizona State. Um, there was a beauty against Baylor, and then there was
Oklahoma State
the
game
obvious one,
winner.
the Oklahoma State one, right? Yeah. But other than that, I don't. So if we're like, okay, can Bear give us 7 great plays, and then maybe not those giveaway middle of the field interceptions to the defensive lineman
Yeah.
kind of stuff?
No tipped balls,
Maybe
please.
we'll be
Yes.
okay,
Yep.
I
right?
mean,
Yeah. No last
yeah,
second shuffle passes into the arms of a waiting defensive lineman. Yeah.
yeah, no, none of that, please. I had enough of that last year. That leads us perfectly into our next point, though,
Uh-huh.
is what do you think is going to happen? Because obviously we want this to happen, but in terms of holistically
Right.
BYU, what do you think is going to happen?
All right. So I've been mulling over options in my head, right? So we can have a 1985 experience, right? Where the defense just dominated and, got us to a New Year's Day bowl. I think it was New Year's Day, the Citrus Bowl. Maybe it wasn't New Year's Day back then. Where we lost to Ohio State 10-7 on the pick six. Um, right? Um, we could have an 85 year, right, where the quarterback's just good enough. Um, we could have a Isaac Wilson, or not Isaac, I don't know, Zach Wilson year, right? We
Please
go 8 and
no.
5, right? Right? Um, or maybe we have a Trevor Lawrence kind of season, right? Oh, where this freshman that nobody really knew about comes in and goes all the way to the Natty. Um, I think we're more likely to revert to the norm. We're going to go. It'll be 8 and 5, 9 and 4. Um, that's
And
what
I
I
guess,
think will happen.
would you be happy with
Well,
that?
okay, if we win, yeah, I against my, I would have to force myself to be happy.
Good answer.
How's that? All right, but if I look back on a 9 and 4 season and say, oh, okay, we had a true freshman quarterback, I was like, hey, that's the best true freshman that's ever done at BYU.
That's true. Especially
Um,
starting week one,
Yeah,
yeah,
allegedly.
yeah,
allegedly.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Do I
You
think
know,
that's gonna happen? I'm gonna go 8 and 5.
Okay.
would that be like 8 and 5? What do you think we need to do to be successful this year? Like to maintain
Ooh,
momentum?
all right,
What does success look like?
okay. In my in my mind, success means one of two things, right? We go to the conference championship game,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
However that goes, right? We either go to the conference championship game or we beat Utah,
Okay.
right?
I like that.
So I'll call it a success even if we go 5-7. If we end up winning, beating Utah at home in the middle of October, then I'm like, okay, fine. That's a
Yeah.
success for me. I know that lowers the bar significantly. Um, but I would even take, hey, if we lost to Utah, but we went to the conference championship game and they didn't, I I would still call that a successful season, right?
Yeah. Well,
We go
and
9-3, we go 10-2, we go 11-1.
they don't have to be mutually exclusive. We can do both. That's allowed.
True.
We can, right? We can do both. So, in
Um,
fact, I would posit that in order to get to the conference championship game, we'd have to beat Utah,
Yeah.
probably.
That gives us
right?
the best shot for how hyped Utah
Yeah,
is. Definitely looks good on our resume. Maybe that would be a quality loss, though. You never know, how they talk about them.
right? I mean, after Ohio State won the national championship last year, my view of you know, the rivalry game changes a little bit. It's like, yeah, I want to win, and it's the most important game on the docket, no matter what. But you can lose to your rival and still have a successful season.
That's an interesting topic. I
I
kind of
feel
want to
like a
dive in.
heretic.
Yeah, that makes me. I think maybe that's another conversation for another day. Maybe we bring that one up when we get closer to the Utah
Yeah.
game because that's a really interesting
Yeah.
discussion.
It
Here's a
makes
question we
me
had.
uncomfortable to say it.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, yeah, as it should,
So,
as a true college football fan. Here's a question from our YouTube chat. What's the biggest change that BYU needs to make from last season to this season? Like, what is the number one thing that they like? I guess retrospectively saying, like, what is the number one thing that they should have addressed moving into 2025?
okay. Um, Identity on offense, you know?
Agreed.
I agree.
Um, you you can't make like the occasional trick play be your identity.
Yep.
You need to either grind it out, you need to either say we're going to build our big boys in the front to move the pile, and we're going to grind it, 10 play drive, we're going to get 4 yards a pop, or we're going to air it out and be wild. Um, or we're going to go back to old fashioned BYU, which is just kill you with the 15, 20 yarders over the middle and, in the pockets of your zone, right? I uh I was watching the BYU. I watched two games yesterday in preparation for this. BYU Pitt, the opening game of the 1984 season,
The
Okay.
first
and
ever
BYU
college
Baylor, the
football
number
game
two game. I was
broadcast on
watching.
ESPN.
Oh yeah.
Yep, yep. Oh, and I don't know if it's appropriate for this podcast, but there was a line that like should go down in like the worst comments that an announcer can say on television.
Oh, I need to hear
But
this.
in 1984, I don't think anybody um picked up on it. But
What was it?
um
Wait, you
but
have
what
to
I
say it
noticed,
now,
oh,
Kevin. You can't just leave that.
okay.
Yeah, well,
So,
you're quoting. Don't
right?
worry. We don't hold
So
this
BYU's
against you.
up. Yeah, yeah, I'm quoting him. Right? Things to never say. BYU's up 3-0, and then we throw a pick six, right? An 80-yard pick six. Our very next
Sick.
drive, second play, Bosco throws a pick and they run it back to like the 30, right? So then they score, or they run it back to the 20. So they score, they're up 14-3, and their defense is like stuffing us, right? And I kid you not, I'll show it to you. The announcer says, Pitt is really aroused now, and you can really start to see it.
Awesome. Oh my
Right?
What?
And
God.
I double took and I was like, did I hear that right? Rewound it. That's what he says. He says that
Pause.
Pitt is really getting aroused and you can really start to see it or something like that. And I was like, oh man, don't ever say that.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
We came back to win that game,
yeah,
correct?
we did. We did. And that was the very first like ESPN announcer like game on ESPN
Yeah.
ever, and that's how they throw that in. Anyway.
It's
He's
amazing.
figuring
It's
it
funny.
out. He's
Um,
figuring it out.
but anyway, I bring that story up just because I was thinking about the old 1980s BYU football, right?
Yeah.
They threw the ball two out of every three times. And when they ran the ball, it was a draw trap or just a draw,
Wow.
right? There was no real fanciness. I mean, they had the worst rushing attack, right? I watched 8 quarters yesterday, and they got, fair amount of success from time to time, but it was just drop back, and we're gonna put the tight end at 15 yards, and then we're gonna run the split end behind you, and we're gonna run this back out of the backfield, and we're gonna get 15, 20 yards every time, right? There was one
Yeah.
play in the Baylor game where BYU had third and 20 or second and 28, right? Because Bosco got sacked. It was second and 28 or third and 28 or something like that. And it just reminded me how I felt growing up watching BYU. It was like third and 28 is just more offensive yards, right? We're just going to get more passing yards,
That's just
right?
stupid.
And sure enough, what do we do on third and 28? We get a 51-yard pass play. And so it's like, I think BYU needs an identity like that where it's like, we're not really going to try and be balanced. We have more faith in our offensive play calls to pick you apart. And we're just going to beat you on the 10 yarders that turn into 25 yarders because you missed an assignment kind of thing.
Wow.
Or whatever they want to do, just have an identity. on
Yeah.
offense.
Just do something.
hmm Score. When you get 20 yards away from the end zone, I would love if our offense could score. That'd be great.
Please.
Right? 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 That defenses fear us getting to the 20-yard line because they know we're going to score.
hmm
Right.
Yes.
Not going
Um,
to throw a fade to the backup tight end.
right? Uh, I would love to know what was BYU's red zone turnover rate compared to the rest of the nation.
Yeah, I was gonna look that up. I gotta go through and see, because that stat is not readily available. So I've gotta go,
Jessa,
like, look it
Jessa will
up.
get it. Jessa will get
I'll
it.
go find it.
We'll get it eventually. Maybe next
Yeah,
episode we'll drop
I
that one.
can I can think of like four off the top of my head right now. So it's at least five,
Right?
right?
which I think is five too many.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, right? Especially in
Yeah.
critical moments where the game is on the line.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like, oh, again.
I have a question for you, Kev. I'm curious. We've talked a lot about like teams outside of BYU and outside of Ohio State. In the college football world, is there a team that you are rooting for this year that's not BYU and not Ohio State?
Hmm. Some people might not like this answer, but
Oh boy.
Utah State.
Oh, I like that
Utah State
answer.
and Bronco Mendenhall.
Yeah. No, I can see it.
Um, I'd like to see him be successful at his rebuild this year. Other than that, I the easy choice, Penn State would be
Okay.
the other one. I want to see
Interesting.
James Franklin get his finally.
As an Ohio State fan, you root for Penn State. Is that a little bit like the BYU Utah State relationship, like you were talking about, Jared, where BYU fans will root for Utah State more than they will Utah, obviously?
Yeah. I mean, I might be drawn and quartered if I said that in Columbus. Um, but no, and part of it might be because Jared's uncle graduated from Penn State, so I've kind of softened on my view towards Penn State. Um, but no, I like James Franklin. I think he's a good guy. Not the best coach. Like,
But
how on
boy, he
earth
loves
did
his
James
players.
Franklin right? Yeah. Um, like how on earth did James Franklin not give Tyler Warren at least one shot at the ball when they had first and goal against Ohio State?
To win. To win the game.
Yeah, with the game on the line. Yeah. I I don't know anybody else who would not go to their best player when your season is on the line
Yeah.
like that. But he's a good
Right.
guy.
Yeah, very interesting. I will also be watching Penn State. I have a couple of friends that are Ohio State fans, like independently, because I think I am also tainted by this, family tie to Penn State. And the general vibe that I get
Yeah.
from them that are kind of like authentic Ohio State fans, like only Ohio State, it's more of like Penn State is kind of like the laughing stock, which is like, I want to beat them. And it's really funny because they just can't beat us. Like, they'll just never win the big one. Like it's less of a like, we hate them. It's more of a like, this is really funny. Watch, kind of thing. Like, this is the fat guy in our friend group that like always trips over himself at the McDonald's, like that's kind of the way that they see it. Kev, I
I
have a
could
kind of
totally see
a,
that.
yeah, it makes sense. I kind of have a different question for you. Obviously, BYU basketball, like, probably going to be a top four team in the AP top 25 come the new season. They're going to be like, this is going to be the greatest sports team that BYU has ever had, maybe. Um, at least the expectations would lead you to believe that. But
Hmm.
football is king in America. So where do you fall on the BYU football versus BYU basketball spectrum? Like, is there one that's more important to you in terms of success? Does this year like change that at all? Do you find yourself more excited for football this or more excited for basketball this year than usual? Or like what is that dynamic like to you? Because I find myself struggling with this from time to time.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think BYU football, just because of the era that I grew up in, um, BYU football is the thing, right? Um, and if there's ever a football game and a basketball game scheduled at the same time, it's football every time.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe that's just because I'm generally more of a football guy, I think. Um, but this year, if I had to say which team do I want to be more successful, um, just because of the like planets are aligning kind of feeling around the basketball team this year. Like if we don't get it done this year, then I can't see this ever happening again.
Yeah. Flush.
Kind of feeling that I'd be like, right, right. If I had to say BYU going to the college football playoff or BYU going to the Final Four, I'd take the Final Four.
And is the Final Four, is it Final Four or bust, do we think? Or is it getting one step farther than we ever have? Is like Elite Eight kind of the idea?
No, I'm Final Four bust. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I
if our
I
roster is as
feel
good as they
like
say, keep going.
right. I was gonna say I feel like they built this roster just for this moment, right? For that
Hmm.
end. This isn't a this isn't a build up to next year's kind of thing,
Right.
where the football team was like, hey, we got Ryder Lions coming in next year, the year after. This is the year, right? I felt like last year was kind of the, hey, let's get to the Sweet 16, let's build some chemistry, let's prove that we're for real, kind of year. But this year is like all cards on the table, pull out all the stops and let's get to the Final Four.
Hmm,
Yeah.
So,
that'd be awesome.
yeah. Now, again, it's not a zero-sum game, right? We can have both.
We can. It is allowed.
We It is allowed for us to win both national championships. Florida
What
did
a
it
year
once.
that would be.
I think it's
Hmm.
our turn,
Yeah, what
right?
else am I putting my tithing money towards, other than BYU athletics? So,
Right?
Exactly. We pay the
Right?
players every Sunday, guys.
we do.
You know,
Yep.
right?
Gosh.
To paraphrase one of the greatest shows in the last decade, what else was I built for? Right? What
You have to
else was
remind
I
me of the
made
show.
for than to watch BYU win two national championships?
What else was I made
Oh,
for?
it's the song from Barbie,
Of
Oh,
where
good
course.
the,
Of
the
course.
song's
stuff.
like, "What was I made for?"
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
What was I made for? I was made for nothing other than to watch BYU win two national championships in one year
Agreed.
in
We can
Amen.
major
end
sports.
we can end life
Yep.
then.
Well,
We can just go
That's right.
click the end
translated.
button.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, sim to end.
Yes.
Yep.
Sim to end of game. Mhm.
um, Kevin, this has been absolutely amazing. This has been fantastic. Everyone is going to love this. We have one more question for you before you go. Um, what why are BYU sports so important to you and to the Call family, honestly, in general? Because I think me and Jessica can both say growing up, BYU football has been about as big of a part of our lives as literally anything else. Like literally bigger than school, than like almost going to church. Like this is religion to us. So for you, what makes BYU sports that important to yourself and to like this family, this group of individuals?
Um, ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Um, Not to get, too sociological into it, right? But um, as the fifth of seven kids, right? Um, and this may be heretical again, even more than Lake Powell, but Lake Powell kind of picked up, you know, the decade after. Um, this was the accessible thing, right, that I did with my family. Um, it, and if we weren't going to the stadium to watch a home game, we were making arrangements to go watch the bowl game or go watch the away game. Um, in my formative years, right? This is like 83, 84. I'm like 6 and 7 and 8 years old. Um, and I think the other part about it, and again, just talking psychology, right? For me, as a 6 and 7 year old, like my parents handing me a ticket and say, meet you at the car, right? After the game, you know, don't get lost, right? Go hang out with your brothers and sisters. And I got to hang out with my older brothers and sisters at the ball game, and it's us kids together, right? Doing stuff. And we would always tailgate. We were always there before everybody else. Um, and we had our spot next to the light pole by the church in lot number 2 or whatever it was. That was our spot. And we'd set out our stuff and we'd eat and we'd play football and um, you know, I would hang out with Doug and Lisa and Kelly would join, it was like all of us were there and it's like, okay, we go play, 3-on-3 football in the parking lot. Um, and it was a family thing. And then we'd sit in the parking lot. I mean, I could tell you guys stories all night. We'd sit in the parking lot, we'd go back out, open up the tailgate stuff, and just sit and Dad would pretend to be napping in the driver's seat while we listened to the post game show until the lot cleared out, and then the lot cleared out, and then we drive home. Um, and it was family, right? The things we did together were go to church and go to the BYU football games. In that young, once I got a little bit older, we got Lake Powell in there too, and Lake Powell became another moment for us. Um, but I hope that's not too long of an answer, right? BYU sports, specifically BYU football, right? Um, Sitting right in the middle, you know, right under the right under the scoreboard, um, partaking in all the history and the moments and being able to replay it. And then we'd go home after the game and we'd play football in the basement, and dive on the couch. And our Sunday afternoons, right? We weren't allowed to play with friends and stuff like that. We'd all go in the backyard. We had that grassy patch out in the corner, and we'd replay the game that we just watched on Saturday.
Cool.
Me together with my brothers and sisters. So that's why, right? It's family. It's building relationships. And I'm glad I didn't ruin it for my kids and my nieces and nephews by being a little too hot-headed at times. So
It just adds an
there you
extra
go.
layer, I
It
think,
does.
of like I told the JCW's story to a group of people like the other day. I hope you don't mind, Kevin, but I find that story hilarious, and
Not at
maybe
all.
it's a story for another time. But I just love the passion. And another thing I love just about the brothers and about like the call, our aunts and uncles in general, is that sentiment. Like I could hear you guys talk about your childhood and how much it meant to you guys all day, whether it's Lake Powell or BYU football, just because it's so genuine. And I think we have had experiences like that as cousins too, like at the
Absolutely.
football games, like going out at halftime and playing football like on the side of the stadium, you know?
Hmm.
And so I don't think that an answer could be long enough to that question. So,
So was it?
Absolutely.
And just to follow up on that, the cool thing to me as an almost 50-year-old is to hear you talking about playing on the exact same hill, right? In the exact same corner of the stadium that I played on as a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old.
wild.
That
So
is that's amazing.
just ties that bind.
Yep. And eventually our kids
So
will play together
and
on that hill and we'll just continue the cycle.
Cycle of madness. So
right,
great.
The
generation after
battered fan
generation.
syndrome will live on.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
Kevin,
one of
that
these
was
days we'll make a Call Family BYU football documentary.
yes. Yes, we
We
will.
should.
That definitely is in the works. For sure. Um,
Yeah.
but Kevin, this has been amazing. This has been awesome. Like Jessa was saying, it is really cool to hear all that because we have also experienced that growing up, and hopefully this continues on forever, and it's just a beautiful circle. And hopefully this podcast is part of it too.
Yep. That's right. The new tradition.
Yeah, we got to connect
Well, thank
everybody,
you.
even if they're not in Utah.
That's right. Well, thank you guys for having me on. I know I'm just an old bald 50-year-old guy, but I love
You're an
It's an
this.
awesome
MD.
I
headset
love the
Yeah.
community.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. I love the community we're building or
Right
continuing.
there.
Same here. Yeah.
Yep. This is amazing. All right. Well, we will be back with you. Everybody that is listening or watching, we'll be back with you next week with a little bit more. Guys, did you know that as the time we're recording this, there's only 9 days until college football is back? When people are listening to this, there will be like 1 week until college football. So we are so back, baby. I will be with you next time. See you guys.